Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the official ARK Podcast, number 78. My name's Brad, and I'm here with the core team. Your host tonight, as always, our fantastic leader, Atlas. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you for the introduction, Brad. And folks, welcome tonight to the ARK Podcast. This is number 78 and counting. We're continuing on our consecutive daily, nightly podcast, depends where you are. And we had a great one yesterday. Coach Roberto was here, a very powerful breathing session. Great comments coming in from one of our investors. Shout out to Crypto Unlimited 22 for his feedback. He really had a great benefit from doing the exercise last night. We'll have Coach back tomorrow. We also had a great presentation yesterday evening, from Catalyst, going over one of his articles. Massive. We had our contest as well, where folks were able to participate and win 50 BUSD by clapping those cheeks to make sure that the article starts to get the traction it deserves. Because we all know, we've all been sitting here taking notes and learning from Catalyst on how to be effective in really pushing the protocol into a matter in a way that folks can understand. He does have a great gift for conveying what's so special about ARK. Our price is looking very stable as usual. One of the great benefits of being an investor here at ARK is seeing that price stability just continue to give us that stable rate of return on our investment, especially the folks that got in the private at the price of $2.75. We are estimating that they're going to be getting pretty soon their return on investment. And that's, really the main priority here, I think, for us. We wanted to make sure that folks really had an opportunity to put the money back in their pocket and grow and thrive through time, understanding that it's the bear market and you need to be wise with your investment. You need to be frugal, and you need to make sure that you get a win. So that's starting to play out as well. We're very happy to see that come soon to fruition. And with that, we believe there's just going to really set a whole narrative of folks that are, rejoicing and happy to have that win and have more confidence to maybe go out of their way and, think of a friend or a neighbor or somebody in their life or at their job, or someone that they may see is in the same situation of wanting to have some passive income or replace their current, income. So we're seeing it happen. I mean, just last night, Coach was talking to a couple of friends. He's already got somebody that wants to come in and invest $1,000 into ARK. And, we were giving him pointers and explaining to him that it's always important to explain to folks that they should do a investment based on a small percentage of their liquid, assets, whatever's sitting in the bank, decaying, that's losing value through inflation, as we're all seeing. The cost of living, pretty much everything's gone up: energy, food, rents. So, we had a really interesting conversation that wasn't recorded in yesterday's podcast, but a great opportunity, I think, to bring somebody up to speed on how to, I guess, grow a syndicate, but do it in a very responsible manner. The last thing we want is somebody getting a second or third mortgage on their home to come and invest here. That's not what this is built for. This is not the culture, the environment. We do not want people here flopping and groping and being stressed out because they're too over leveraged. This is a place for the slow, steady, long-term investment. And I think it's our responsibility to explain that. And as folks, especially if they're new in these systems, understand how they present it. 3%, 5% of what you might, have cash is giving you a great opportunity through time to really have a great return, as we all here pretty much understand that. And we're going to shift into a lot of that narrative and explanations as we start to put in the hands of investors the first version of the mobile app, which is also, by the way, guys, coming along in a fantastic manner. We're very impressed with the work that the guys are doing here. So with that, I think you're going to see a lot of the shift going into that real world, getting the average Joe that wants to become a Savage Joe, or James at the water cooler, as we like to call him. There's I think a important way to do it, and it encompasses, like I just said, also explain to folks to do their due diligence and understand that there's always a risk. The last thing we want is a friend calling us and being stressed out. Oh my God, I don't know. I heard this. I heard that. What am I going to do? Right? We've all been there. So if we're able to communicate with these folks and say, hey, learn the system, start small, grow your way to getting your levels as you expand in the system. If you want to upgrade to a legacy NFT, and you don't have to go all overboard overnight. So anyway, I think that's it for what I wanted to really talk about this evening in our opening. And I will turn it over to Mr. Brad for some updates from his side.
Thank you, Atlas. Yeah, it was a great day today. We did a lot of work behind the scenes. You mentioned shifting focus into the mass market and really the PWA kind of leading the way for that. I'm not sure if we've mentioned this too many times, but we have two completely new team members working on the PWA that we brought in to add to the dev team. One is a complete front-end UI UX developer, in addition to Alex, which many of you know. He's also supporting and helping as well. But then we have another designer on the team as well, and he's doing all the layouts and look and feel of the PWA, the functionality, and then the second one is hooking it all up. And today he announced that he finished hooking up the vault on the front end. So moving along quite nicely. So we're looking time-wise, imminent, and we're having some meetings this week. Thursday, we have a meeting with the dev team again to go through the progress and get a real solid update on where everything is. But we're hoping to have, a majority of that front end, that new PWA front end hooked up and functional for us to start testing. So that's really exciting. And from a short, medium term perspective, that's where our focus is really going to be in terms of growth. You mentioned some external investment discussions we're having. Those are ongoing. We have, several ideas in the hopper that we're going to end up sharing with the legacy NFT holders. And then we also discussed, our long-term real vision for the project. So, we're going to try to start fleshing out a little bit of that as time goes on, as much as we can share. Obviously, there's a lot of proprietary information and things that we have to hold close to the vest just because, things get out, and we want to protect, this project and our investors as much as we can for that long-term, that sustainability, the utility for ARK, but then the big picture investment strategy that we have, and how we're going to tie in the legacy NFTs and the DAO and all that stuff. So yeah, there's lots to come, lots to share. And we're going to start putting, pen to paper and start giving some information as much as we can as time goes forward, and really kind of fleshing out the roadmap and giving some more, concreteness to the long-term plan. I think we have a solid short-term plan for growth, but it's that medium to long-term plan that most people ask those tough questions about. We try to give as best answers as we can, but without revealing too much and giving away the store. Just a couple quick updates on the contest. We do have the I Heart ARK contest still going. Fortunate gave an update on that last night as to how many people. I think it was over 100 people have joined that contest. That's a 1,000 BUSD giveaway, so 5 winners will get 200 BUSD each. So if you haven't updated your Telegram name, now's your chance. The contest ends on the 26th of January. So just let's see, about 9 more days for that contest to end, and get it done as soon as you can. We're not going to, if you do it 5 minutes before the contest ends, you're probably not going to get in the door on the giveaway. But yeah, we want to thank everybody for participating in that. It's been a huge success. If I just look around, not just in our channel, but in, a lot of the other DeFi channels that I'm subscribed in, there's a lot of people in there that I see with the I Heart ARK logo in their name. So it was a great addition. And then tonight, once again, we'll do the all aboard session where we have 100 BUSD going to the content creator that we showcase and spotlight during the all aboard sessions, and then one either 50 BUSD giveaway or 100 BUSD giveaway, depending on how many participants there are, for liking, subscribing, and sharing that content that we showcase on the podcast tonight. So yeah, 2 really good contests, all community-based marketing that we've talked about before. We want to really push that. We feel like that money going back into our community members and really giving people incentive to keep promoting and talking about ARK in a positive manner. We think that's the best possible spend of that money. So yeah, looking forward to that again tonight. I'm not sure exactly who the guest is, but I'll let maybe Brad, if you want to talk about that, or do you want to go into the next session there, Atlas?
Actually, I wanted to also let everyone know that CERTIC has finalized all the documentation of the audits. If you maybe want to touch on that a little bit, Brad.
Oh yeah, thank you. I forgot about that. Yeah, I added a page in the white paper. We have the published link from CERTIC and also the published link from Driven. So if you go onto the audits page in the white paper, it's just below the ecosystem overview, and there's a little drop down there. You'll see the contracts, and then there's another tab there for a link for the audits. And we've got those 2 so far. The Skull Key is the group of hackers that we've talked about in the past. They also did a security audit, and we're just waiting for them to post those audits on their website. We want to use the third-party links from the security firms. We think those are, using the third-party links obviously gives it a little bit more credibility. So we're just waiting for their link with the published report attached, and we'll go ahead and publish that link and get that back up on the white paper. And then admins, I can shoot you those audit links, or if you want to wait for the Skull Key one, we can do that as well if you want to create one for the commands. But we could talk about that as well. I could send you that link, or you guys can go ahead and just scrape that audits page and create the command, and then we can update it when Skull Key sends over their link as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brett. And yeah, I think it'd also be good to put it on the company website homepage as new folks come in and they're able to see that in an easy to find manner. So let's go. And Coach Brad, are you ready for all aboard?
Yes, sir. Certainly am. Really looking forward to tonight. We actually invited Catalyst back for a second night in a row. And guys, we're not playing favourites here. Everything that Catalyst does is of the highest quality. But he wrote a Medium article recently that really addresses the narrative at ARK to do with the CWR and how people approach the investment. Trying to move away from the mindset perhaps of some other older protocols where people compound 100% and withdraw 100%. And he wrote a fantastic article, just really educating people as to why that is not the way we like to do things here at ARK. So we thought it was really, really important for him to showcase that tonight, because it really does address some of the things that people are asking on a daily basis. So Catalyst, if you are ready, sir, it is fantastic to have you aboard yet again. You totally deserve to have the spotlight on you, sir. And if you're ready to share your screen and walk through this really, really great Medium article that he's written.
Yes, thank you, Coach Brad. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, if we get that posted, admins, so that everybody can, as he's doing a presentation, go on over and clap it up. Please take a screenshot of your 50 claps and send that into our head admin, Mr. Fortunate Enough. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
as this is a Medium article that he's written previously, if anybody in the community, because it's very possible that you may have clapped it previously, and you won't be able to clap it again, just make a fresh comment today, and that will be your entry to the giveaway. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Brad. And thank you, everyone, for enduring me a second night in a row. They're not playing favorites, as Coach Brad said. Actually, Coach Brad was originally trying to get somebody else to present tonight. I was sort of on standby as a substitute, and I'm happy to do so. But at the end of this article, I'm going to share some tips with you all and with the entire community on writing articles. It's just some stuff that I've learned over the years of writing Medium articles. And maybe we can post that on the main chat just to help get you guys started. And then you can be presenting your own articles on here.
Sounds like you're giving us a bonus, Mr. Catalyst.
Yes, it is a bonus. Not as cool as a breathing session, but it's a bonus nonetheless. So anyway, let's jump right in here. As Brad said, this article was written to spread the narrative and the new not the new recommendation, but the mindset that we're trying to get participants in to use the allocation sliders rather than doing a 100% daily compound. That's really the gist of the article. Oh, by the way, if you don't know how to clap, right down here, if you can see my mouse on these clapping hands, this is where you click, and you can click up to 50 times. To be eligible for the prize, I don't think there's any minimum. You can just clap once, but this is where you do it. I'm gonna put the article in edit mode because I think it views better this way. All right, let's jump in. So I had originally written this article before we started promoting the allocation control mindset, using the sliders and not doing a daily 100% scheduling. So because of that, I went in and I revised the article. I think I wrote this article on the 9th of January, and then I revised it on the 13th. And then these were my revisions. And this really kind of sums up the article. Rather than utilizing a daily schedule of compounding at 100% or withdrawing at 100%, participants in ARK are encouraged to instead allocate a portion of daily rewards. I go on to say that there's several benefits to splitting daily rewards to desired allocation, and then we'll get into those in the article. And then the other revision I made at the time that I wrote this, I had said that when you are using the auto allocation system, if your CWR value is too close to the upper limit, for example, 1.5, then the auto allocator will perform a 100% withdrawal after if the transaction fails. Originally, I had in here that the system would perform a 50% compound and a 50% withdrawal. And my understanding is it was that way at one time, but it's been changed, and now the system will perform a 100% withdrawal when a transaction fails. By the way, again, Brett, if anything needs correcting, just let me know as we go through here.
Yep, you got it. No, that's exactly right. We changed it thinking we could still eliminate a lot of errors and still do a 50-50, but we will let it run for, I think, 24 or 48 hours, and we're still having, a high frequency of errors, which costs gas, and obviously people would like to see the gas price come down, but we just haven't been able to do that yet because of some of these errors. So that's what we're trying to eliminate.
But if we can expand on that a little bit, Brett, why is this happening? folks are doing actions that are pushing them to a threshold, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to get into that catalyst, but people are compounding, like they normally would sometimes in other dApps. Maybe they'll compound a couple days before they start the auto allocation, or they have a mix of compounds and they're already running at 1.5, but they've gotten there by doing smaller compounds, more frequently than withdrawals. And so as soon as they start the auto allocation system, they'll hit that upper ceiling because the auto allocation system is completely consistent. Every 24 hours, it's going to run. And if you're at a 1.5, it's going to do the 1.5. Now in your 14-day schedule, if you have a series of 100% compounds in there, you're going to hit the ceiling. So we've now put a recommendation on the auto allocation system that you should run with a split allocation that Catalyst is going through here now, whether it's a 50-50, 60-40, whatever that is, prior to starting the auto allocation. Or if you start on day one, you can go ahead and pick a 1.5 on the auto allocation system, and it won't matter if you're doing it from day one. So now we're hoping to eliminate some of those errors by just sort of coaching people through that they want to be consistent prior to coming to the auto allocation system and running a split allocation, so that there's no interruption or errors that are thrown because they were doing some manual actions that were 100% compounds in multiple days, potentially before they do the auto allocation. So we've actually seen a lot of the support questions go down significantly since we started that, kind of split allocation campaign here. We've been talking about it a lot. Catalyst did his article, which was great. I know Kelly's working on her calculator. I made an addition in the white paper. So I think the word's out, and a lot of people, it's disseminating down through the team. So I know the team leaders are also coaching people in that direction. So it's good to see.
Yes. Ideally, you would want to, it might be difficult to get people to do this, but as you pointed out, you would want them to run a split allocation for a full 14 days prior to jumping in the auto allocation system. That would eliminate all errors, right?
We have that message now on the UI in the auto allocation section, but we don't force it. We're hoping that we don't have to. We're hoping, a combination of everything that we're doing, on the podcast, your articles, what Kelly's doing, what I've done. We hope that message just kind of gets out there. I've been catching people on Discord as well before they even start, and just driving home the whole split allocation approach. And I saw an investor today who was going to jump on board and just said, "Hey, I'm starting the auto allocation day one, so I'm not going to do any of the manual stuff." So it's good to see. Yeah, we're getting the word out, and it's becoming sort of the leading conversation. We also added it to the quick start guide and did some other things. So yeah, I think it's really improving, but you're absolutely right. A 14-day split allocation process before hitting the auto allocation is definitely the way to go. You won't hit any limits that way.
Okay. So I start off with some best practices. These are just kind of general guidelines, just to help ensure that a participant doesn't fall below 0.75. Do keep an eye on it, especially if you are doing manual allocations. Keep track of it over time. Balance your compounding and withdrawing to make sure that you do not trigger that lower limit. As most of the people on here know, you do not want to hit that lower limit because there's no way to come back from it. And then, think about, these are more generic in nature. Actually, to be quite honest, this little section here was generated by ChatGPT. I asked it to give me some best practices after it read the white paper. So that was kind of cool. I'm sorry, Atlas. We're not going to get off on a tangent on ChatGPT. I give a couple some definitions here from the white paper. I like to link to the white paper when possible in my articles because I really try to drive people to the white paper. Some people have an aversion to reading white papers. They might think it's too technical or whatever, but in my opinion, the Arkfi white paper is one of the best white papers I've ever read. It's one of the easiest to follow, and it's laid out in just a great, easy to follow manner. So I will throw in links when I can back to the white paper. I talk about the compound withdrawal ratio. I talk about the upper and lower limits and what they're in place for. I make sure I point out that this reduction, if you trigger the lower limit, it's permanent and it cannot be recovered. Again, I link to the white paper here. I talk about the upper limit of 1.5. And I mention, for those that don't read the white paper or the guides, if your compounds will be suspended until you perform a withdrawal if you do actually hit that upper limit. I do make a note here that there is a way to increase the CWR upper limit, but I mentioned that that's outside the scope of this article. I typically try to keep my articles at 10 minutes or less in terms of read. And when you write an article on Medium, it estimates the typical number of minutes it would take to read an article. Shorter is always better, just from an attention span. And that's also why you want to put the most important points up towards the front of the article, such as allocation control. So I talk about that. I do note that, the allocation control sliders are a first in the space. I'm sure many of us on the pod are in a number of ROI daily DApps. I haven't seen this in any of the ones that I'm on, and I think it's great. But like most people that are not used to this, it took me a while to wrap my head around it. I mean, I was guilty of doing 100% compounds and 100% withdrawals, alternating days, just because that's what I was used to. So, I talk about these sliders allowing participants to, choose their percentages. I did throw in a table here just to give some examples. Again, this is trying to put people in the mindset that they do not have to do on 100%. They can break it up any way they want. Let's see. I do say here that, it is recommended by the Arkfi team.
Sorry. Sorry, guys.
Okay. No worries.
My bad.
Here, so this is where I say here are some advantages of allocating in this way, because I do want people to understand that this is a huge. I mean, not only is it a first, but this is really neat. After I got thinking about it more and more, I really like it. It really allows you to dial in exactly, precisely what you want your CWR to be. You could never do that with 100% daily withdrawal, alternating, or whatever schedule you would do. If you were doing 100%, because think about it, you've only got 14, you're on a 14-day rolling average. So you've got 14 100% actions. And it's really difficult to break that up into, I mean, you can break, if you do 7 and 7, that's a 50%. And you can break up that 14-day rolling average in different ways. But with these sliders, you can pick any kind of percentages you want. So it gives you precision. It gives you that flexibility to allocate your percentages, according to your investment goals. You can also change up your allocations, within the upper and lower limits, of course, to balance your short-term and long-term earnings. If you have multiple wallets, you can set each wallet up on a different schedule. They also just give you more control. of how you want your rewards sent, because keep in mind, it's not just compounding and withdrawal. The sliders also allow you to pick a percentage to airdrop. And we saw on Sundays, all aboard, when SK was going over his video, he was showing how he allocates a certain amount to airdrops for his monthly airdrops to his team. Just a lot of benefits to using those. And then I talk about the auto allocation system. I'm a huge fan of this, so much so that I wrote an entire article just about that, and we went over that last night. I'm not going to really jump into this, just in the interest of time. We went over the auto allocation system again last night, but I'm a big fan of it. And now, if I start a new wallet, I don't even do 100%. I don't do anything manually anymore. Like you were saying, Brett, I'll just set it from the get-go, jump right into auto allocate. I do talk about the flat rate gas fee with the auto allocator, 0.005 BNB. I do talk about what we were discussing earlier about if you're too close to the upper limit, the transaction's going to fail. I say whether or not it's a good choice for you will depend on your own individual circumstances, but I do link to the paper that I discussed last night on the all aboard session. If you weren't part of that, you may want to check out this article. It goes into all the benefits, and I actually do a calculation to show what your minimum principal balance you would need just to break even. Most people likely are going to have more than the minimum, but I just did it as a fun exercise to see what the minimum principal balance would be. And then finally, I do talk about the 100% daily scheduling, because so many people think of it that way. But I start off by saying, even though you can do it, this practice is not recommended. So again, trying to change that mindset. And I say, without keeping accurate records on what days you took certain actions, it's too easy for you to lose track of when and what was done over the past 14 days. So consequently, you will inadvertently exceed either your CWR upper limit, or worse, you will fall below your CWR lower limit. But because you can do it, and some people still want to do it, I do look at a couple examples. I just try to show people what, a 1.0 CWR example would look like, what a 1.33 CWR example would look like. Here, you're doing a 4.3, so you're compounding 4 times a week and then withdrawing 3 times a week. And then I give a 0.075 CWR example, but I do make sure I point out, such a strategy is very risky. I would not play around with this, getting too close to this. And frequent listeners know that I actually did have a wallet fall below 0.075. So I'm in the red zone and can never leave. Again, that's a very risky strategy. And then I talk about the 14-day rolling average and just kind of give some examples of how that works. Here's the first 14 days, which is just some kind of random example. And what I wanted to show here was how it is possible to fall off into the red zone if you're not really tracking it and keeping track of what you're doing, because that 14-day average, as it shifts down, previous compounds will roll off the stack. And so, like on day 15, you're now looking at day 2 through 15. And then on day 16, you're looking at what you did, the actions taken on days 3 through 16, and so on. And as you can see here, this is what happens to the CWR. If you're not looking at it and you're playing too close to that 0.75, on day 20, they did a withdrawal and boom, this participant fell below the 0.75 because some of these early compounds fell off the stack. So again, I'm just trying to drive home. It might not even be worth the risk unless you're just really if you like to keep track of it and just know what you're doing. And then I did a section here on timing. A lot of people, we talk about the 14-day rolling average, but it's really an 80. There's 86,400 seconds in a day, and the calculations, I didn't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but the calculations for the CWR isn't really based on a day. It's based on the amount of lapsed seconds in the day. So we've talked about this on the pod and in the past. If you are not performing your manual transaction at the exact same time of day every single day, your elapsed seconds are going to vary depending if you're a little late or a little early. And I talk about if you are late or early, that's going to give unequal weighting to these actions up here. And to be honest, that's how I fell into this. I was doing manual compounds and withdrawals sort of at the same time each day, but not exactly at the same time each day. And, sometimes I would have been maybe a couple hours off, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, but not really tracking it well enough to realize that just coincidentally, every time I was a little bit early, I think I was compounding, and when I was a little bit late, I was withdrawing, or maybe it's the other way around, but my early withdrawals actually were weighted heavier than my compounds. And so when those compounds fell off, it pushed me into the red zone. Again, I didn't really want to get too into the weeds here, but I wanted people to be aware that, if they're going to be tracking it, you really have to track it. I mean, it's a lot of work. Just another reason to use the auto allocating.
I can't remember system. What I had for breakfast last Saturday. So
I know, right?
I can understand folks, unless you're writing it down and you're being very disciplined, organized, you're really doing yourself a disservice by trying to push these thresholds. And
what you have for breakfast on
the way you're explaining
day
it.
2.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
And this is, if you are keeping track of it, and you are, let's just say you are like a robot and you're doing it at the same time every day, going forward, which I find to be impossible. It still takes 5 to 10 seconds each transaction to go through, and then the next day you would have to account for that. So even if you did it at the same time every day, you're still going to be out. As Catalyst has just shown there, it's done on the amount of seconds in the day and in the week and in the 14-day rotation. So even if you do it the exact same time every single day, it's going to be slightly out anyway because of the amount of time that it takes to interact with the blockchain. So, and you'd have to account for that the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. So it really is impossible to exactly do it at the same time every day without some serious calculation. Just something that I think you should avoid completely.
Exactly. And this is what I was talking about with the weighting. And I said, for example, if you perform an action prior to the 24-hour timer reaching 0, then the number of elapsed seconds would be less than the number of seconds in 24 hours. And consequently, the weighting applied to that action will be less for the overall CWR calculation. And then the converse is true as well. And then I end the article with a word about a word of caution. This is actually how I got into trouble with my one wallet that fell below. And this is what Brett was alluding to or talking about earlier, why it might be a good idea to, if you've been doing manual allocations, and you want to switch over to the auto allocator, maybe first use the allocation sliders for a number of days and watch it before you automate it. Because when you automate it, you're going to tend to just set it and forget it. So you might want to, if you've been playing around with 100% allocations, you might want to use the sliders for a few days, ideally 14 days before you kick in the auto allocation system. And that's the article. Any questions?
I know after kind of talking with Brett about it a little bit, because I was sort of doing what you were talking about there, I went ahead and set my allocations for like a 50-50 and did that for 4 or 5 days and kind of stabilized it a little bit, and then, adjusted the ones I needed to 60-40, and still there's, some minor adjustments as I'm going through that 14-day period, but it's staying pretty close, and it's, like it's starting to move back up on its own now.
Got it. Yeah. If anyone has used the auto allocation system on a wallet that they had previously done manual allocations on, especially 100%, you do see the CWR kind of take some time to settle in, to shake out and get into that whatever you did specify. And it's a little nerve-wracking for me sometimes if I see the CWR going down, and because I've already, like I mentioned, I fell below the 0.75 on one of my wallets. So I think I'm a little bit overly cautious now. I don't want to get anywhere near, I don't want to even fall below 1 on anything. So, but just track it, just keep an eye on it.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
And this may have been asked quite a few times before, but I've never been able to get an answer that I understand. First, maybe a simple one, is the vault page the most accurate measure of CWR?
On you mean the dial? For your own,
yeah,
for your
and the
wallet?
reason I'm asking that is I've come upon this thing called Mr. Green Crypto, and it gives a wildly different number, and I'm trying to figure out, am I in danger or not, and I don't know which one to believe.
Oh, you're referring to Mr. Green's tool that looks at your past 14 actions?
Yes.
I might have to defer to Brett. I'm not. I've played with Mr. Green's that tool that calculates the CWR maybe once when he created it, but I don't really want to misspeak. But
Yeah,
you've asked 2 questions. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, what Mr. Green's tool allows you to do is enter in, future actions to see how that would affect your past, your past actions. So it shouldn't be any different up to the date that you have. So the most accurate, I'd say, for your current is definitely on the vault page, but Mr. Green's is more of a tool to show, where you're headed based on certain actions if you add them to the schedule.
Well, I don't see any place to add actions, but what it does is it lets me put in my wallet address, and then I do a get actions, and then I click on calculate. The number it calculates for the CWR is like 1.4, but on the vault page, I have 2.384 of my 2.5. So I'm trying to figure out, is 1.4 right, or is 2.384 right, or something else?
The vault page, I'm not, are you 100% sure you're adding the same wallet? Do you only have one wallet?
Well, I have 2 wallets, but I copy paste from the syndicate page for that wallet. So I'm sure it's that wallet. Plus I've kind of got my number, partially memorized. So
Are you using the filter button on Mr. Green's tool after you put in your wallet address?
should I? I haven't.
Yeah, I believe the Brett, you can, or anyone familiar with the tool that uses it? I think after you put in your wallet address, the second step is to hit the filter button, and that filters it down to the most recent 14 days. Is that correct, Brett?
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
I just did that, and now the number matches almost
Yep.
exactly, like out to 7 or 8 digits.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank Mr. Green. He whipped that up in a morning or an evening. Any other questions?
Not so much a question, but I mean, I think that everything you write, Catalyst, is fantastic. But the reason that this is one of my favourites is because it's highly educational. It really addresses the narrative at ARK, and I think everybody should read this. If you think you understand CWR, or if you're not sure, I think you should read it. It really is a fantastic piece, and thank you very much for taking your time to present this to the community tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you, Coach Brad. Atlas, I don't know what you got coming up next, but I did put together some thoughts, some tips on writing articles that I want to share with the community. It can be now or it can be later.
Let's do it now. Can't wait. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Get your pens and pads and pens out.
Well,
people.
Coach Brad, I'm gonna send this to you so that you can share it, maybe even as a command, like writing tips, something like that. I don't know. You guys can decide if you want. I'm happy to share it with you. So I put together, as I was preparing for yesterday's article, I wanted to just kind of put together a list of why, some of the benefits of writing articles. And these, again, just off of the top of my head, obviously it is a means to grow your syndicate. It's also just a great way to learn more about ARK or about whatever subject matter you're writing an article on or creating a video on. And I've found over the years that once I start writing articles, I can then explain it better to people that are new to the project, be it ARK or whatever. I just find that writing articles allows me to explain it better after I teach myself, because firstly, I'm learning about it myself, especially with a new project. And I got to tell you, I learn something new every single day about ARK. The more I write about it, I'm like, oh yeah. Just like the 50%, 100% withdrawal, and there's minor things changing too. So it just helps me understand the system, and then also allows me to explain it to people that I'm trying to bring into the project. I also think that articles are a nice alternative to the white paper. I know that there are people that I actually personally know that would never read a white paper. They just are not going to do it, even though they should, and we wish everybody would read the white paper. And as I mentioned, the ARK white paper is one of the best I've read. Not everyone's going to read the white paper. They just, I don't know, they have an aversion to it or whatever. So articles, some people prefer articles or watching YouTube videos or TikTok. So it provides a nice alternative to get that message out there. It also provides an opportunity to build your own community, whether you're doing YouTube videos and you're building followers, or you're writing Medium articles. Over time, you're going to start to get your own subscribers built up. This is something that comes organically later, but there's some nice benefit to that. People start, you establish yourself as a subject matter expert, you gain recognition. If that matters to you, maybe it doesn't, but that's just another benefit in my opinion of writing articles or creating content on YouTube. And then if you do build up large enough subscriber base, it could ultimately provide an additional income stream. I have mentioned on this pod in the past that I do make a little tiny bit of money on Medium, but I know some YouTubers that are, crushing it. So that's again a benefit that would come over time, but it is a benefit nonetheless. And of course, the biggest reason you should create content is so that you can be on Coach Brad's All Aboard segment. So those are the list of some benefits, and you guys can probably think of more. And then I wanted to share some subject ideas, because it's not all about technical articles. My favorite type of articles, and this isn't necessarily yours, but I love to write how-to articles and step-by-step guides. I have found those to be it's just kind of my wheelhouse, and I find those to get a lot of traction. And whether you do it in an article or a video, like those of you that were on Sunday when SK did his video walkthrough, that was a step-by-step guide on how to do airdrops. That was phenomenal. So yeah, you can do step-by-step guides with screen, live video, or in my case, I like to take screenshots and do the Medium articles. I always use the Telegram chat commands, which the ARK team has done an excellent job with the commands. If you guys aren't familiar with those, is this the command, by the way, Brad? Coach Brad, is that what we type in there to get the list of command?
It is indeed, yes.
So if you guys haven't done that yet, try that in the main chat. Last time I checked, there were 62 of these commands. And what those are little concise descriptions of various components of the ARK ecosystem. And for me, what I like to do is click on one of those as a start to an article, because it is nice and concise, but I like to do a deeper dive on it and then build an entire article or video out of that. And so if you're stuck for ideas on content, just take a look at that list of commands. I also look at the white paper. The white paper is all encompassing, and it can be too much for someone to digest. I mean, how many people in this chat on this pod have read the white paper multiple times? Probably most of us. So I like to take just a piece of the white paper and again break it down into like a how-to or step-by-step guide. There's tons of content here that you could write articles about. Brett has mentioned to me in the past, and maybe on the pod, that there's so many topics that you could write about with what's currently out there for public consumption. You shouldn't have any shortage of ideas. Another favorite thing that I see a lot of Medium writers write about is like the performance of a particular metric in the system. What's the vault performance been doing over the week or month, or what's its APR? What's the bond returning? What's the return on the legacy NFTs? How about Spark rewards? If you guys are tracking this, and I know most of you probably are tracking it, that's an excellent subject for a Medium article. People love to see what kind of return is possible and what you've been getting. And you can actually report real time saying, well, these are my numbers, and you can show them your spreadsheet. People love to read that. And then the last thing I like to do in terms of technical articles is I'll read the chats, and if I see a question asked more than once, I write an article about that. Because if somebody asks a question, or if you see it more than once, that means there's more people that are asking the same question, especially if it's a question that gets asked and then it gets answered, and then that answer gets a bunch of thumbs up and likes, that people were like, oh yeah. But because it's a chat, the answers are kind of concise. And again, this gives me an opportunity to write a deeper, more detailed article. And what I can't really do it on the ARK chat, but on other chats, other Telegram channels I've been on, I would go, if I write an article answering a question, then like on a daily basis, I can just search for that question, because everyone, there's always new people entering the system and they're asking the same question. And I just link my article as the answer. And then that allows them to read my article that gives them the answer that they were looking for. And you can, get another subscriber, get another member of your syndicate, possibly. It's just another way to get your articles out in front of people. But that's the technical stuff. I also like to remind people, don't be afraid to write personal articles. We have a lot of people on Team Cryptozoa who've never written articles, and they say, oh, I can't write. I'm not a writer. And we offer suggestions. Patrick and some of the other editors and myself will say, you know what? Don't worry about it being a technical article. Just make it personal. Here's some questions that you could write about. Because there are lots of people out and lots of readers in Medium that like the personal aspect. They want to hear the real story. Like, what made you decide to invest in ARK? Be personal about it. What do you look for in a project when you're doing your own research? How did, which of these research things that you like, these boxes did, they're supposed to be does Arkfi check. Share what you hope to achieve, your investment goals. People like to read about that. I've seen these kind of articles get tons of engagement and tons of claps. Again, they're not my cup of tea, but there's plenty of them out there, and you're going to resonate with the people that you're going to resonate with. So that's certainly some ideas. And then finally, just for fun, I had to bring it back to ChatGPT, but I asked ChatGPT to please provide me with a few ideas for writing articles about Arkfi, and it came up with 10 ideas, and you can see those here. I thought these were great, actually. A couple of these I might even write an article on, but those are some ideas, and then just some tips. If you're writing about Arkfi, put it in the title for SEO purposes. Always include a photo on your article, something that looks good. I mean, I like to create my own in Canva, but you can grab copyright-free images from all kinds of places, Splash or whatever, Unsplash. Medium articles allow you to add up to 5 categories. Take advantage of that and throw in whatever's relevant, whatever you're writing about. Here's some examples. You get to use up to 5. I put 5 on every single article that I write about. And Brett had a good idea the other day about also including keywords in comments, like when we comment on SK's video or you comment on somebody's Medium article, try to use relevant keywords there as well. Another thing I like to do is include links to other articles that I've written in an article, pointing people back and forth, kind of some cross promotion. You saw an example of that in the article I did today. Obviously, don't forget to throw in your referrer ID. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask for likes, subscribers, and follows and claps. I always word it like this. I just say, if you found this article useful or valuable, please consider using my referrer ID. However you want to do it. This is the way I do it. It seems to have worked well for me. And finally, let's get this crypto.
All right.
Oh yeah, I forgot this one. Respond to all comments.
Absolutely.
Send me a copy of that catalyst so I can post that in the main chat for people to keep for reference. Thank you.
Will do. This is a little text file. Do you want it like in that format? Or Does it matter?
You can send it to me in any format, and I will probably ask Gordy to make a banner for it, and then and post it with under the format we usually use. What do you think, Atlas?
Yeah, just send it to him in just regular text, and then we can create a command, or maybe we could even turn it into like a banner giving these tips and information, and have it on rotation so folks can get the education there.
Does anyone want to throw in a couple more keywords that you guys use? Again, I just threw this together yesterday off the top of my head. What are some of your favorite keywords content providers use? I'll add them here.
Investing, I think, is a good one. You've got Brett, the 5 there that I use already.
Brett, you had a couple good ones the other day when when we were coming in on.
Yeah, I've done some keyword research before, like crypto passive income, DeFi yield, ROI dApps, DeFi passive income,
decentralized finance.
Yeah, the more long tail the more long tail keyword you can get, probably the better chance you have of ranking. If you just search even for Arkfi crypto, on Google, you'll see like our website's number 1, but then down below that is all the content creators. So as you mentioned, some people don't like to go to when they're doing their initial research, they don't like to go to the kind of the company website because they don't trust it yet. So they want to see what other people are writing about it or saying about it. So they'll go to the YouTube thumbnails on Google. They'll go down to the Medium articles, and I think when I did that, I think I typed in yesterday, I typed in like Arkfi crypto, and Crypto Unlimited 22 has like the first Medium article. Catalyst, you had the second Medium article, and then there were some thumbnail videos down below that. And actually, there was one person that I had never heard from before. We haven't really had him in the community. His name is Showtime, and he's a YouTuber. And I just commented on his video because he covers ARK amongst other daily ROI dApps, but maybe he's one that'll come over and talk to us.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, interesting.
I'll get that to you, Brad. Thank you for the opportunity, everybody. And I'm turning it back over to you, Atlas.
Thank you, sir.
In advance, everybody that engage in my articles, past, present, right now for the contest. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Great work, man.
Great work. Let's take a look and see how much response we've had so far. Oh, nice. Okay. We've got about 500 and something extra claps, and 7 or 8 new comments. So that's good.
How many claps do we need, Catalyst, really to get to that holy grail of getting on their, I guess, top list? You talked about it before.
Oh, the digest? Yeah, the daily digest. I don't know. I have no idea what the Medium algorithm is for that. And it really varies too, because the digest, my understanding of the Medium digest is it's tailored to obviously what your interests are as a reader, what you've told Medium you like to receive articles about. But then, of course, I'm sure it probably tracks what you're reading, and who knows what the algorithm is. But yeah, that is the holy grail. I don't think I've ever been on, well, I guess I wouldn't know. I don't know if they would include one of my own articles into my daily digest. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works.
Yes. Another question that I have, I'm realizing that our Arkfi official account, when I try to read these articles, it's asking me to pay and get unlimited access. Is that a common situation that happens?
Yes,
Catalyst?
if the author has submitted his or her article under Medium's pay-to-read program, then in order to read it, you need to be a Medium subscriber. I think Medium allows non-subscribers to read up to, there's some limit, somebody probably knows, like 3 articles a month or something, 5 articles a month. But then after that, you have to,
pay.
I pretty much throw all of my articles, because I am a Medium, whatever, writer that is part of that program. So I submit all my articles to the, I can't even think of the name of their program, but on one hand, it does restrict the number of people that can read my articles. You really do have to have a subscription to Medium, but I've got, on the other hand, I've got a lot of followers and people that want to read my stuff are probably already subscribed to Medium, especially in this space, because they're not only reading my stuff, they're reading anybody that's writing about DeFi. I think, did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And it's not expensive. I'm seeing here it's like $5 a month, so it's fine. We'll go ahead and pay for it. We're able to clap, but I just can't read the whole article, which I think is necessary as we do this. So thank you for that. And folks, let's all give a round of applause again and a thanks to Catalyst for that great article. I can't stress how important it is that we all understand that by following a percentage strategy instead of a daily 100% action either way, we're actually staying in a zone, we're earning more, and we're not having to be concerned of what we did 3 days ago, and going back here it's 14 days. And we've seen folks get stuck with that, confused with that, when the whole idea, the whole purpose of having these sliders, which I mean, people love these sliders, is to really make your life easy. Our motto is, let's get this crypto and calm, cool, and collect it. DeFi simplified. So there's a little bit of, I think, relearning as you're coming from other ROI dApps. And as we bring new investors into the protocol, folks that have never even been in DeFi or been in ROI dApps, I think they might even just click and get this a lot easier. So thank you for that. It was really important. And also, if you want to see and go deeper into this, in our white paper, you'll be able to see also some new best practices, as well as tips on CWR, and a video that was done by Brett Norden not too long ago that I think also goes into that deep dive and gives folks the understanding of how to really manage ARK in the most logical and really passive way. At the end, you'll do a lot better. No questions about that. And it's time. Let's go ahead and see who wins tonight. Last night's winner was not here live with us. We're seeing that happen quite a lot. We're seeing also the foundation continue to grow, which is great. Folks are understanding that this product, this foundation product of Bond LP, it's like pretty much a high yield saving account paying you 100% APR. While you have at least $250, you qualify for your first direct level and compounds from your first directs, and you also get a chance to win the Spark prize pool. You can, at any time, there's no limit, withdraw your funds. So it's really fantastic product that we've talked about before. It can really help with our mobile application as we go out globally and understand there's over 2 billion people in the world that are unbanked. Now, not all of them have mobile devices, but a very high percentage of them do. So, we see just, the foundation Bond LP as a fantastic product for them to be able to, have a high yield savings account paying that much. Let's get this crypto. So the Spark price pool right now is 141.09 ARK. BUSD street value out on the street, it's $812.68. Sheesh, that's pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and make the magic happen, as they say.
We've had 3 new Vault accounts activated since the podcast started as well, which is nice to see.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yesterday we crossed that important threshold, that milestone of 2,500 ARK Vault accounts. Something that I think we could be very happy and proud of. Great work, guys. This community is absolutely dedicated, committed, all in, all aboard, as they say. And here we go. All right. And tonight's winner, ladies and gentlemen, the wallet ends in F5E8. I'll repeat, F5E8. 141.09 ARK. Congratulations. Here's where it always gets really quiet. So everyone's checking their wallets, looking at their syndicate viewers, seeing if somebody on their syndicate is the winner of the rewards tonight. Admins are preparing the banner, sending it out to all the groups in the communities, all the crypto streets. So the owner of that wallet can, they're not here present today. They're going to find out real quick. And we do encourage and ask you to please, once the banner's pinned here and posted, that you send it out to your groups and communities. So it might be somebody that is in those groups and they are not here with us. I'm sure they'd like to get the great news of winning, because ARK folks just keeps on printing over and over. It's a beautiful thing. And the buys just keep coming in. Happy days, folks. Very happy days. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, Crypto Love in the house. The newest member of the ARK team. Sir, I hope you're doing well.
Hello, everyone. Hey, sir, thanks for the shout out. And I'm just waiting for the Spark rewards to come out. Good luck to everyone who is joining. And yeah, thank you for the shout out, sir.
We just gave it away. Maybe 3 minutes ago. We don't know. The winner apparently is not in here tonight at the podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to send to all of our groups the banner that's announcing the winner, so that we can make sure that they know. And the best way anybody's going to really notice is that when you log into your ARK Vault account, you go to the homepage of the D app, and you see this list that you're seeing here in the screen share. Instead of blue, as it's showing here for us, your wallet will be in green. And that's when you know for sure you are the winner. And it's already printing again. More ARK, 1.17. And we've given away, folks, 21,626.67 BUSD worth of ARK away.
Wow.
That is absolutely massive, folks. And this is only the 30th day of ARK. Guys, where do you see that? Looking here, over at a good friends at Moonark, right? Looking by TVL, we're at 1,222,000. And really, from my understanding here, looking at this, we are in the 5th position out of 51 ROI dApps in the globe. On the miner side, we're considered also in that, list of 268 miners. We folks are in the 2nd position out of 268. That's impressive, folks. And the growth continues. And I like looking at this website. It's an easy way for me to see how the day went. How's our TVL? We're holding at 0.85%, plus 0.94% for the week, which is great. I mean, we know that we're holding price and we're having a steady growth. You're seeing it happen on the chart. You're seeing it happen here in our liquidity, which keeps on growing. The total vault accounts keep on growing. ARK keeps printing. Folks are getting closer and closer each day to their ROI, and more people are finding out about ARK. Couldn't ask for anything more, guys. And the team is working extremely, extremely hard. So much coming. So, hey, no better place to be. 78th podcast tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow as well. But before we do that, guys, let's go ahead and bring Z to talk to us a little bit of what's happening in DeFi. What's the word out on the crypto streets? What are the big players doing? What are the layer ones? What's cooking, Mr. Z?
I have one comment before Z comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's about legacy NFT. So I start tracking my NFT rewards in BUSD on December 17th. That's my first reward that I wrote it down on my spreadsheet. And then since then, I approximately $472 BUSD out of 4,000 gold NFT. So when I just calculated, it's been a month and more than 11.8% per month just in BUSD. So yeah, just my little update on my legacy NFT performance. So FYI.
And where do you see that, man? I mean, you've been in the space forever and a week. I mean, you remember this guy, for Christ's sake.
I didn't claim. I maybe first 5 times I claimed and wrote it down in my spreadsheet, and then since then I didn't claim. I see the exact amount in USD in my gold NFT reward section. So I added the first 5 BUSD reward claimed plus the one that I have that I'm seeing in my dashboard, which is over 300 BUSD. I think as of today, 309 BUSD.
Yes, sir.
So I added 160 something BUSD, which is, it gives me over $400. And then I divide by 4,000 BUSD, which I bought for gold NFT, and it gave me 11.8. That's the 11%, 11.8% per month.
Yes, sir.
Just holding the NFT. You get it. You got it over 10%.
That's why the smart money's here, my friend. And again, I ask you, Udaman, Eternal has been around. Catalyst has been around. I mean, so many of you folks are experts in the field. Who else is paying out through Legacy, through Bond LP? Like I mean, guys, through Spark Rewards. Where? Tell me where, please. Which way?
This is very bullish because
That way.
very, very nice turnout. Give out. You just hold the NFT and you get the BUSD reward. That's nice.
Hey man, the vibe here. I mean, and you keep winning. You've already won twice to spin the wheel, and I think like just 3-4 days we've implemented. But I mean, guys, the vibe here I think is very clear. Everybody's winning here.
Another FYI, I kept track of what my vault is doing, and so today is the third day, almost a month, and I deposited 747 ARK. Now my principal balance is over 1,328. They gave me the performance 177%, 71%. So
Jeez.
That's how it is increased in a month.
Amazing.
Hey.
And actually, Z, go ahead, Catalyst, please.
I get the impression you're playing sound effects, but we can't hear your sound effects.
I literally DM'd you saying the exact same thing. That is so funny. I didn't want to interrupt the conversation.
That's okay though.
All right. Interesting. Here, let me try something.
Atlas, can you check your DMs, please? No, we didn't hear it, Atlas.
Ooh, interesting. I hear it. Let me check something.
That's really all that's important, Atlas, is that you hear it.
It sounded good over here, I tell you, buddy. All right. Well, thank you for pointing that out, guys. I'll check it next time before we get started on the recording. Thank you so much. How about we do the spin the wheel before we start the DeFi sessions?
Good idea.
All right.
I gotta step out.
Yeah, Udaman wants another 50 BUSD, so.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm fine. You? Is there anyone that participated that does not see their name?
We've got 16 people in here, guys. It's a real easy opportunity to win 50 BUSD. You just got to go and clap and follow and comment. Take you under a minute to do.
I don't see my name on there. I sent a screenshot to Fortune earlier.
All right. Is there anybody else? All right. There's somebody else. Let's go ahead and make it happen, Mr. Fortunate.
No way. Oh,
That would be like
I thought
totally.
I got it already.
Congratulations, Florida Realtor. Let's go.
Congratulations, Florida.
Listen.
Congrats, dude.
I appreciate that. That's just icing on the cake. I feel like I won listening and reading your article, Catalyst. I mean, that was just so informative and educational, man. So it's just icing on the cake, brother. Good deal.
Thank you for listening in. I appreciate the support. Thank you, and congratulations.
Hey, 50 BUSD can go a long way. I know things have gotten more expensive, but it is a nice, I believe, reward for supporting a community member here that's putting the time to work in to really elevate ARK. I think as more and more folks hear about us, read about us, learn about us, the network effect will be seen here through the growth of wallets, investors, community, and help us to reach our ambitious goals. But we're off to a great start, folks. And with that, Mr. Z, it is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Cool, guys. What a day. What a day. Yesterday was freaking fire. Yesterday we had electric energy. It was breathing techniques. It was a lot of learning. And that prepares us for today's little session, because a lot's been going on in a place called Davos. So Davos 2023 is it's like the World Economic Forum, and it has all the top economists there. And I'm not going to go into the traditional finance as much, but there is a subject matter that's been discussed in much detail called central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. And these things have big implications, because, I mean, it's got a bunch of backings from like the University of Virginia, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a lot of these sorts of institutional investors. And what they're doing is they're debating a bunch of things. They're debating about custodial wallets, about decentralized moments, about a bunch of things that we here in DeFi kind of support. And this year we've had a bunch of crypto sponsors there as well, like we did last year. So the Cointelegraph team have been there, and they're trying to get like the view zones of what's really going on with central bank digital currencies, because we have a bunch of different countries that are adapting to it. And here we sort of cover that in much detail. So if you go into links, you'll see that we have the CBDC project quite a bit. Now, one more sort of traditional finance news I'd like to give to you guys before we get into the crypto stuff is the world is kind of changing, guys. The world is kind of changing because when we went through Bretton Woods was a time when the dollar was pegged against the gold value, and the dollar had an aspiration of like holding a certain price, and it held a strength. And then after Bretton Woods, after Nixon came in the 50s and 60s, we depegged the dollar off the gold and went for something called the petrodollar. So the petrodollar basically moved Saudi Arabia and America to a pairing, if you want to put it into crypto terms. And the swap involved that if oil is going to be distributed around the world, it's going to be done in a way where you have to do it in the US dollar. And Saudi Arabia has kept that deal for the past 40 years. So that's why you see a bunch of these, a bunch of everything from petroleum to gas to everything gets transacted in the dollar. And any country that sort of went against that was hit with a fine by the central bank and stuff. So for the first time in 50 to 60 years, let's say 60 years, Saudi Arabia has changed the norm now. And on Davos, they announced they've been doing this for like the last year. It's been in speculation and stuff, but now they've officially announced that Saudi Arabia is opening to settling trades in other currencies. So they've been open up to the BRIC countries. So things like the yuan and petrol prices. You can say the ruble and petrol prices. So we're going to see a bit of a change. And the reason I kind of give this to you guys is because we went through a year of you could say high interest rates, right? We're trying to come back from COVID times. And usually the dollar index holds quite well, right? The dollar index holds quite well when things get depegged, and especially when interest rate is up. But what we're seeing is the dollar falling quite a bit from October time down to 101. So to me, that's a case that maybe the guards are changing worldwide. And maybe this is actually coming true, that we have bigger empires in the field now, including China, including Russia, including India, and including Iran and other countries. So you're going to have like two sentiments now, like when it comes to news and stuff. You have one sort of news that covers the Western remedy, and then you have a more global, impactful stuff when it comes to trading and settlements. So this fortunately should favor crypto in the right way. If you depeg against the dollar, that means all asset classes see increases, and we're kind of seeing that with we're seeing it in gold, we're seeing it in Bitcoin, and we're seeing it
that's where I think it'll go. See, I think they're saying currencies, but I've been paying very, very close attention to this. And I think that the move is actually gold.
Yeah, I think it's gold. Yeah. I think we're pegging back to gold. That's what China wants. That's what all the BRIC countries want. They want gold standard back, and now you're seeing a bunch of you can say today in the news I was going to cover a gold-backed digital currency by the BRICS. So I'll get straight to that. Now that you mentioned it. Right, here we go. So the article here from Cointelegraph reads, Iran and Russia want to issue new stablecoin backed by gold, right? So the potential stablecoin aims to enable cross-border transactions instead of fiat currencies like the US dollar, the Russian rubles, or the Iranian rial. Now, what does the Russian ruble and Iranian rial have in common pegged against the dollar? The one thing is sanctions. So if you want to trade gas for textile, or you want to trade vegetation for gold, these are things that countries do in between each other and in a more macro sense. And basically this means that we are moving in a different direction now. And these BRIC countries like Iran, Russia, China, they want a gold-backed digital currency. So I'm going to read a little bit more here because I think this is important. The Central Bank of Iran is reportedly cooperating with the Russian government to jointly issue a new cryptocurrency backed by gold. The token is projected to be issued in the form of stable coin backed by gold, according to Alexander Ravnikov, executive director of things. So we're having I wanted to know much more about the stable coin, and I started to go into rabbit holes. I think, but I think as we get across Davos and we get into territories of March, April, then we're going to get more details about this stable coin backed by gold. And yeah, so that's the one news that's happening. I think we're going back to basics. I think we've gone about 50, 60 years in economies where we went and printed money and went for more fossil fuels, and we went for more you can say other sort of asset classes to back our currencies. And now now we're seeing that we're coming back to gold, silver, bronze, metal. And yeah, so this is the big news, and these things are all interlinked in such a way that Saudi Arabia has changed its position. Like they had a deal with the US for like 50 years, and they've changed that. So is this going to affect a global economy? It currently is with the dollar index, because after a week of Davos, normally like we can go in past data and we can see that like normally the dollar pegs pretty well after Davos, and we see a sort of 112 to 115 ratio of where price is with the dollar index. And right now the dollar index has sort of fallen. But guys, like, please don't take this as sort of moon boy news. We don't do that kind of stuff. I mean, if anyone's looking to buy these kind of tops, look what happens when you buy these tops in the previous sort of, runs. So May 2022, people bought that top, dumped. Then in September 2022, bought that top, dumped. And currently we are making a double handle, right? In trading, we call this a double handle. So be careful, guys. Be careful. Do not buy Ethereum at 1573. Do not buy Bitcoin at 21K. Do not buy Link at $6.80. These aren't the buy the dip moments. These are buy the top moments. And as we get through the next few weeks, you're going to hear a bunch of news and backings, and people are going to talk such appreciative about gold, about Bitcoin, and about companies that are investing in Bitcoin. And then you're going to hear about podcasters and celebrities. You're going to hear from people saying we are buying Bitcoin, and you should too. But that's how institutes basically take liquidity out. So be careful. We do expect a dip because this thing is not holding. It's not breaking. Like, one thing you got to keep in mind is Ethereum had a price of 1644 that we circled back in September 22, and twice it's come close to it, but it's not been able to top that. And when you see that, expect reversals. So I'm expecting a bunch of reversals as we go. We continue with the news. We continue. If any of you find my language or what I'm speaking confusing or anything, realize you can unmute and stop me and say, Z, could you explain that again, please? Because I'll do that. Because this is really important stuff. This is important for everybody to understand. Because this is going to affect DeFi. It's going to affect crypto. It's going to affect how we trade, how we barter, how we do arbitrage. So some funny news, right? I like to bring some comedy. And normally we talk about the SEC in a much more brutal manner and how old fashioned they are in their ways. But today, something funny happened at the SEC. So the report links up SEC leaked crypto miners' personal information during investigation. The financial regulator reportedly unintentionally included 650 names and email addresses in communication with blockchain firm Green as part of an investigation. So what's happening in the SEC is behind the doors is they're going after mining companies quite a bit and actively. And there's a Privacy Act of 1974 that they've kind of went against when they made this mistake, right? So the Privacy Act of 1974 prohibits the disclosure without consent of information about individuals about the federal government maintained in a system of records, which just means you cannot share people's information. We don't share people's information. It's privacy, right? We talk about privacy a little bit. If we store information about you in a system of records from which we retrieve that information by personal identifier, we will safeguard your information in accordance with the Privacy Act. So this is a statement that they made. For them to basically accidentally leak 650 names and email addresses from a crypto miner firm is pretty entertaining. So that's what happened at the SEC today.
I thought you were going to say that they were admitting to being a part of the whole FTX scam.
That's a good one. I like that one. I think like talking about that, yeah, my opinion is Gary Gensler should not be mingling with centralized characters. I think that's one lesson he's learned, because he had about 10, 15 meetings with SBF, and not at any given time did he think, let's audit this person to see if he's making sense. But yeah, that's for another day. So that's the SEC news. Information got leaked, and quite a bit of it. In England here, we're going through a bit of a debate, and basically we want to see basically how they sort of occur with crypto. And right now, the headline reads, Bank of England's governor questions need for digital pound. So digital pound meaning CBDC. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey highlighted that the UK has already has a wholesale settlement system with a major upgrade. So there's a debate right now going on in the UK since Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister in England. In the UK, it's been a center of his sort of talk about bringing the digital pound into horizon and sort of backing crypto assets. So it's something that's in debate right now, and people are highlighting different things. So Andrew Bailey of Bank of England expressed skepticism on the need for a digital pound shortly after the financial minister from Eurozone countries backed further work on a digital euro. The Bank of England governor recently questioned the need for a wholesale central bank digital currency, citing that there is a wholesale central bank money settlement system with a major upgrade. So yeah, we're going through a bit of debate. This is what happens in Parliament in the UK. Everything is debated and rinsed to its basic entity into a skeletal form, and then people make a decision. So yeah, so CBDCs is something that's being debated right now actively in the UK. Now that I've covered traditional finance and CBDCs a little bit, we can get into some fun news about DeFi. Right, so the National Geographics. I'm sure a bunch of you have watched a bunch of nature shows growing up and even now. The National Geographics is well known for basically, looking through wildlife, looking through human interaction with nature, and showing it from a photographic lens, right? And showing it in such a way that captures people's emotions and eyes. So National Geographic has about, I think, 120 million followers. If you don't mind, I will be looking into this a little bit, because I just want to be precise. National Geographics. National Geographics. So National Geographic has 26 million on one thing, but in total it has about 5-6 different Twitter handles for its publications. And yeah, so they released their so the title reads, First National Geographic's NFT launch meets massive backlash, technical issues. So they launched their first NFT, you can say a mint, and they have you can say 12 of their best photographers that basically launched it, and they launched on Polygon. And with this, and it was pretty interesting, because like the second they launched it, it wasn't liked by the public. The public sort of sentiment was that NFTs are dead, deflated. It's a pump and dump. Why are you following through with the same, you can say, grounds? So the response of National Geo merely mentioned NFTs, calling it. So it had negative comments like NFTs is a bubble, already popped, bullshit, an extinct species, and another way to launder. And many urged National Geo to delete this. So that was the backlash that National Geographic had, and it's a shame. I mean, for me personally, because NFTs is supposed to enlighten and create opportunities for photographers. And something like National Geographic could be a launch pad for a bunch of folks to forget making these JPEGs and these sorts of apes and rabbits and sort of, you know, these fictional characters, and actually, like, I want to see a nature picture be sold. I want to see bigger things. So that's the backlash that. So here it says National Geographic has a massive following with 256 million on Instagram, 49 million on Facebook, and well over 28.6 million on Twitter. Despite all the hate, though, its Instagram post about NFT still received over 100,000 likes. So this is how adoption happens, guys. When you have entities like National Geographic's sort of backing its own photographers and their NFT collections and doing the mint on layer 2 like Polygon, this is good for DeFi. So I don't applaud the negative news. I think things like this should be covered more, but that's the news on National Geographic's. Now, the last thing I want to show you is it's pretty fun here. So a Bored Ape Will spent nearly $1 million on the Gods NFT project. And so the collector snapped up 69 DeGod NFTs on Solana with one bulk buy via Magic Eden. So what happens is when you try to buy more than you can say, I think there's a limit on Magic Eden, and this fella was able to allow. Here it says so. Magic Eden previously allowed only up to 50 NFTs to be purchased at a time through its bulk buying feature. But when prompted by a prospective buyer who claimed that the prospective change was an ultimate inconvenience late on Sunday, the marketplace upgraded the functionality and enabled larger mass purchase. So this person is a Bored Ape Whale, right? And he spent $1 million and bought the top 6. So basically, the God is a NFT project that's moving from Solana to Ethereum. And we covered this in the news. So this is if you guys can see my screen, this is the transaction in plain sight. Guy kind of posted it on his Twitter. So here he's approving 38,000 Solana token purchase of 69 DeGods on his MacBook. So yeah, this guy is a Bored Ape Will. And it's pretty interesting to see how everyone's following the trend. I think the Gods is going to have the next sort of hype on OpenSea. So that's the news, guys. Short and brief today. But that's something to cover. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Z. I like the format tonight. Lots of good different topics. Nice mix. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's the way to cover the future. I think we should cover traditional finance, entail into what CBDCs are doing, and then on top of that, seeing what's happening in DeFi, because these are 3 layers that people should know more about. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Davos stuff is important to watch right now, obviously, because they're influencing all the businesses to jump on board, and that's where that institutional money is going to come. So yeah, keep an eye on that one for sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a whole week of it.
Bill Gates didn't show up, and George Soros didn't show up either. And they thought Charles Schwab might also not show up, but he was actually there and on stage. But very interesting. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, a lot of talk on the streets. What's going on with the World Economic Forum? What's happening in Davos? Are they meeting somewhere else? There's just too much attention. Did they have a fallout? But that is, Did you guys look into that or hear about that?
Yeah.
No, I did, but I'd like to see those two go at it and have a fight. That'd be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Something's in the air or in the water, but yeah, they both canceled. So the multitude of private jets that lands over there at this time of the year is still there, but the folks from the media that are allowed in are the page killers. Independent media gets no love, gets no respect over there. But interesting to see, like you covered too, I've been hearing about the oil contract being settled with gold, which it's no secret. Past decade, China has amassed a much more immense reserve of gold than what they actually tell people. I know that for a fact. Russia's been on a buying spree. They're in Venezuela, which, 1,000,000% inflation. They were even sued. Check this out. There was a Russian company that signed a mining agreement for mining gold with Venezuela just a couple of years ago. And they were actually extracting it in their private jets, where the executives were supposed to be flying back and forth from the Russian mining company. But they were just they were just taking the gold back and forth, coming back empty, picking it up, taking it back. And they got caught. And the government was pretty pissed off about that. So they took them to court. And under the contract, I think they had to pay, it was almost like $5.5 billion in international court, because the Russians said, hey, we had a deal. And you couldn't just break it and kick us out. So very interesting. I know they've been amassing it. And the narrative with the BRICS is moving to change. However, the settlement becomes an issue. And I think that's where your point of crypto really falls into place, because you need to have instant settlement for these transactions outside of SWIFT, outside of the fake LME futures contracts, which, if people were to cash in their chips, there's not enough ounces of gold, nowhere near what is on that exchange. And JP Morgan, a lot of folks have been caught many times already manipulating the price. And people that need to know, the smart money knows that is not real gold that you're buying on LME. That's paper with a couple, little grams of gold dust, that fairy gold dust on top of it. So they don't want to play that game anymore, I think. And the crypto could be a very, very good alternative. I do know that there is a underground SWIFT system that the country that starts with an I, and Russia and even Germany are involved with for doing some of the settlements they do, just because they don't want to run on the above ground SWIFT network. So really, really interesting to see. But that's going to be interesting. The political axis of, the long-reaching arm of America, all that tension building up. I don't know if they're just going to sit back and let that happen. I mean, you've seen what's happened to the other kind of guys that wanted to get away from the petrodollar. They're not around anymore. If you know what I mean.
Alice, is there any indications there's going to be the oversight committee or third party that's auditing this gold reserves? So obviously they're not going to, like you said, they're going to settle in a crypto, and they're just going to keep a ledger, I'm sure, and a balance sheet, right? And just say, hey, I owe you this much gold, I owe you that much gold, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So who's the one that's, overseeing this gold reserves? It can't be the country themselves, right? Is it like the IMF, BIS, World Bank, or doing the auditing?
That's very interesting. I think about the same thing that I don't know the answer, but I just kind of imagine. Generally, countries publish their own data. I know that, and this is a narrative I've been looking at, because I've lived in China and I've dealt with a lot of people there in the high levels of business, and I know what they're doing, and they don't declare what they really have. They're just stocking up in massive amounts to Russians too. So with the weakness of the dollar, I've been thinking for the past couple of years that what will happen, and I've probably said this to like maybe 50 people in the past couple of years, but if the dollar gets into a really tough situation and then China comes out with their, CBD backed by gold, and it can prove the reserves, which is hard to do. Who's going to believe them, right? That's the nail in the coffin for the dollar. That's the move I've been expecting. But with the whole BRICS coming together more, I think that them jumping on board too, they would have to find an authority, and probably it wouldn't be the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund, because those guys are manipulated and controlled by the powers that be, and you know where. So they might have to have their own gentleman's agreement and create their own standard auditing protocols, as well as a continued, how can we call, a continued audit that they could all sit back. So maybe they send independent auditors to each other's countries to make sure that the reserves are still there and everybody's playing fair, and use a crypto system for settlement. That's just, I don't know, an idea, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I figured that's how I kind of see the long-term strategy will end up being: put all the assets on the blockchain, then they're all, their own verifiable asset, but tradable. And then, even you and I that hold gold or silver, whatever it might be, could be used as collateral in those transactions, as sort of like the nation's assets. And that's kind of how they do it's not a direct confiscation, but it's a confiscation in that you really can't move it cross border. They're going to rely on it to back the CBDC at the end of the day. And then it's not just the stockpile and reserves of the government, but it's the GDP plus the assets plus whatever that they can put on the blockchain to use as collateral. I mean, that would be the next progression. But, people would volunteer that up because there's going to be some benefit to doing it, I'm sure, whether it's a tax or a, some other, access to loans, to CBDC, to some, other benefit that'll, I think, incentivize people to do that voluntarily, basically locking up, physical assets and put them on the blockchain for the government to basically collateralize the nation's debt or the nation's currency against. Would make sense to me.
Right. And usually the issue with that, logically, is everybody wants to control it, right? No, you should trust me. I'm the guy that's going to do it right, says the Chinese, right? And then the Saudi Arabia, no, I want to control it, and then the other one, no, but I do. And then a lot of times that happens. I mean, even children playing games, right? Who's going to play this position? Who's going to be the quarterback? Sometimes the game doesn't start until people negotiate and find a balanced approach. And just in that, it can slow things down quite a lot. It's not an easy process, but it's tough. The embargoes that would come from that. Europe will have to pick sides, and that's going to be interesting to see where they go, how that affects them, how it affects their currency. But I think the overall consensus is that the dollar, the euro, I mean, it's game over. It's been game over for quite some time. And it's just a debt trap. And the only way to keep it afloat is just to create more and more and more and more debt. And there comes a point where you realize that like the Spanish conquistadors, when they went to take the land, go to South America, and they found the Indians. They gave them mirrors in exchange for their gold, because the Indians never looked at themselves in a mirror. They thought it was so cool. Wow, look at my teeth. I don't have any. Wait. Look at my eyes. Look at my nose. I've never been able to look at myself. Take all the gold you want. Yeah, there comes a point where the Indians realize that, hey, you ripped us off. These little pieces of gold are nearly not that valuable, but we gave you something that was worth a lot more.
One thing. Are we still recording? Brad?
Yes, sir. We are.
All right.
Okay,
Okay,
we could end the
cool.
recording.
Yeah, I thought, we sort of cleared it out with the news, so we should end the recording. Have a raw talk about things.
All right. So, folks, any last questions, comments? All right. Well, thank you all for coming this evening. Hope that you found the podcast informative, educational, and entertaining. Congratulations to Callis for being our guest tonight on the All Aboard sessions. We also congratulate tonight's Spark winner who wasn't present. But wherever you are in the world, we hope that when you do realize that you're super happy, and you see that the Spark Reward really takes your investment to a whole other level. For the folks that are not here and are participating by listening at a later time, thank you also for your participation. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. EST, 11 p.m. UTC. We're going to hang out here for a little bit. Folks, good night.